Tuesday, once again, is that time of year, of course, when more motorcyclists are back out on the roadways. Summertime. Attorney David Ayler, whose contract does allow him to ride choppers, bikes, Harleys, and Can-Ams, joins me right now to discuss some safety tips for drivers out there. So, Counselor, welcome back to the show. Of course, motorcycles are everywhere. You see the signs, you see the bumper stickers. So what do people really need to know to avoid getting in an accident and then eventually getting in some legal or civil trouble?
Well, I think the first thing they need to do is watch out for bikes. There's a lot more of them, of course, here in the Lowcountry when it starts to warm up. Not just people that are here locally, but also, of course, people coming into Charleston for their vacation. And you unfortunately see a lot of accidents occur just from simply not paying attention and not seeing the bikers around.
Absolutely. Is there, of course, there's a rule about staying in between cars, car lengths, and that sort of thing recommended, kind of safety tips. Is there a difference between that and a motorcycle?
Well, the motorcycle driver himself or herself obviously has some, part of that as well. They need to make sure that they're watching out because simply what often happens is these motorcycle drivers will get in the blind spot of a driver,
Right.
Or the driver won't look clearly when they're taking a turn. And then, unfortunately, when that collide happens, it's pretty serious.
Absolutely, it is. Talk to us about kind of when police get on the scene right there, kind of what your first step is if you're a driver that accidentally hit a motorcycle, or if you're a cyclist as well. Obviously, you're going to be hopefully okay after sustaining a crash right there. But really, what do you want to do to really get the legal ball rolling?
Well, from the standpoint of the person driving the vehicle, you want to try to explain exactly what you did. Honesty, of course, is the best policy, but unfortunately, oftentimes with bike accidents, that's not what occurs. And that's different from a car accident in that, sometimes the officers can't tell exactly what did happen.
Right.
Because instead of having two vehicles that are moved somewhat, but not too far from the collision, you have a bike and a human being that is moved very far from the collision because of the collision in and
Absolutely.
of itself. So, it's unfortunate, but oftentimes motorcycle riders have to end up having to hire attorneys simply to not just prove that they have damages, but to prove that actually they were not at fault in the accident. Because oftentimes, motorcycle drivers are going to be the safest drivers you ever see on the roads.
I was going to ask you because, of course, a lot of people have a negative kind of stereotype of motorcycle drivers, that they're weaving in and out of lanes and going in between cars where they really shouldn't be going at all. Do you find that that's most of the people that come into your office and try and, kind of get some of this money back, or are they the really, safety first, safety conscious, please look out for me because I'm looking out for you twice as hard kinds of people?
I would say that most experienced riders very much have the safety side in the front of their mind all the time because they've seen friends and family that have actually gotten in accidents where something occurred simply because someone wasn't paying attention.
Right.
Of course, there's bikers, and we see the TV shows and different things like that where you do see some individuals that are going outside the laws actually, and speeding, cutting through lanes and things like that. But generally speaking, most of your riders are very safe. I would say probably a majority of riders are very safe,
Yeah.
and just looking out for others. Unfortunately, there's a lot of drivers and vehicles out there that aren't paying attention enough, and unfortunately, all of us are guilty for that at times, and then that can lead to a pretty serious wreck.
Absolutely. Now with the statewide texting ban just passed, do you think that this helps? Does this hurt the motorcycle cause and trying to keep everybody safe out there?
Part of that texting ban is very much for motorcycle riders because obviously the texting does what? It takes your attention away from what you should be doing, which is driving your vehicle. And unfortunately, when you have a situation with a motorcycle rider, if you're sitting there texting and you're not seeing someone come over, you collide with them, then it's going to be a completely different experience than just having a little fender bender with another vehicle.
Is an insurance claim and going through that and then trying to find fault the same as a motorcycle for a regular vehicle?
It is, but the problem oftentimes is, as we were going back to earlier, is what actually happens in these accidents. I know myself and a lot of other lawyers in town end up in cases just trying to prove that the biker himself or herself was not at fault, simply because when the police officer gets there, they get variations of the story, and you really have to go back and reconstruct the accident.
So how can you best protect yourself if you're going to get on that motorcycle?
If you're going to get on the motorcycle, obviously you need to make sure that you are following any and all safety laws that you have. Try to avoid some of the heavy traffic areas, particularly during the summertime. But if only you get in an accident, you need to make sure you have legal representation, because you never know what's going to end up happening or what the report might show, and all those medical bills are going to come back on you if it's not handled properly.
Indeed, and of course, always wear a helmet. Attorney David Ayler, thank you for your time, sir. Do appreciate it as always, and we got much more Lowcountry Live coming up after this.
Trial Tuesday, brought to you by attorney David Ayler.